evening, everyone. I'm Marv Albert, and I'm here in beautiful Irvington, New York, at the Irvington Town Hall Theater. Tonight, the main event. Chris Elliott stars in his acclaimed portrayal of Franklin Delano Roosevelt in FDR, a one-man show. Yes, a big night in Irvington indeed. The TV crews here to tape this prestigious live theatrical performance have stirred up a lot of excitement. And as if that wasn't enough, right next door at the high school gymnasium, the Irvington Bulldogs basketball team face the Dobbs Ferry Blue Devils for the regional championship, a real showdown. And we wish them luck. Anyway, looks like the show is about to begin, so sit back, relax, and take a journey back into history with a moving and personal portrayal of one of our nation's greatest leaders. As Cinemax presents my buddy, Chris Elliott, in FDR, a one-man show. Yes!
Shadow knows.
Henry Aldrich.
Coming, Mother.
Remus and Andy Show.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Saigon. Shit. I'm still only in Saigon.
Good evening. So good to see all of you. Glad you could all make it. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and they've asked me to come here and talk to you a bit about my life. Well, I said, who better to talk about my life than me? However, they stipulated that I have but 30 minutes to complete the task. 30 minutes, I said. Why, I can't describe what I had for breakfast in 30 minutes. Nonetheless, with your permission, I shall endeavor to do the impossible. Now, where to begin? You know, when a man looks back on his life, all the events that occurred seem to fall logically into chapters, like a great big book. Well, I shall skip some of the more laborious chapters and go straight to the meat of the biography, if you please. I was born in Hyde Park, New York, in the year of our Lord, 1882. I was a sickly child, thin, pale, and colicky. At an early age, I began to develop a keen sense of humor that would later be called the Roosevelt wit. It was also early on that I developed this little trick, back in my days with the rodeo. Let me show you something. It will amaze you. Take a look at this. Ah, there we go. You see, it's all in the wrist. All in the wrist. Did I tell you the one about the politician who on a recent campaign promised, if I win, there will be a chicken in every pot? Well, my good man, according to my calculations, if there was a war between the chickens and the pots, I dare say the chickens would win. Well, then another fella comes up to me once and says, Franklin, How many strings on a banjo? Well, I fired back at the man. 5 too many. The banjo stinks. Well, there you have it. Are there any history buffs out there? Bully, glad to hear it. I have much history to dispatch to you this evening. Let us begin at the beginning. I believe it was my mother who was the more overbearing of my two parents. She wanted me to be exactly like her. But, Mom, why can't I go out and play with the other boys? But you said, ow, Ma, why did you have to hit me? All I wanted... Ma, you act as if I've gone out and registered Republican. All right, that's it. That's it. I'm not taking any more crap. All right. Here we go. All right, how about this, baby, huh? How about this? Now we'll see who can go out and play with the other boys, huh? What do you think about that, Ma? How does the show feel on the other foot? Sulfuric acid! Oh, my gosh! I'll be scarred for life. Oh, Mother, why did you have to go and do that? You've gone too far. Oh, very well. I will do what you ask. I will stay indoors instead of going and playing with the other boys, Mother. I promise. I promise. Oh. Well, thank you. Not a very pleasant memory, eh? Fortunately, the acid scars eventually faded, but the deeper, more emotional ones never healed. Well, let's move on to some lighter, happier note, shall we? My passion. You must indulge me. I never could give up the habit. I love a smoke. Well, my political career got off to a bounding start when I was very young. After graduating Harvard in 1906, I set up a rather winning law practice. Wasn't long before I was elected to the Senate and then governor of New York State. Not bad for someone confined to a wheelchair. You see, I've been glued to this infernal thing ever since a rather nasty encounter with a great white off the coast of Montauk. My feeling is he got the better part of the deal. Nonetheless, one must persevere. Of course, everyone thought my political ambitions ludicrous now. How could he travel? How could he campaign? Everyone, except for Eleanor. Eleanor, you look radiant as ever, my sweet. What's that, dearest one? I do tend to drone on, don't I? Well, I shall try to keep it concise and to the point so as not to bore you and our guests, Babs? Bully. Well, I met Eleanor at the tender age of 15. Tender for me, you understand. I don't believe Eleanor was ever tender. Now, Babs, loosen up, would you? Come on. That's a good Babs. We were cousins, you understand. But Eleanor was not my first choice. No, I would... Ooh. Line, please. Line, please. I didn't quite get that. Now, could you come again? What have we here? Well, it's my little dog, Fella. Hello, Fella, what have you brought me? The morning paper. I love the morning paper. Let's just see what's new in the news these days. Where are we? Yes, here we go. Well, not much news today, huh, fella? Off you go. Well, Eleanor was not my first choice for a wife. Would she be yours? No, actually, I was interested in her sister, Trudy. Trudy. What is the lingo of today? A real piece? Well, that's what Trudy was, a real piece of ass. Unfortunately, my marriage to Eleanor was prearranged. A large sum of money had exchanged hands. Ah, Trudy. She was no mathematician, mind you, no siree. But glory be, could she move. I remember one lazy summer afternoon in Hyde Park. I was out on the porch, dozing. But in my half-conscious stupor, I noticed a little bobbling dot of blue flashing between the oaks on the edge of the garden behind the wood. As the image came into focus, I saw that it was Trudy in her blue summer's dress. She was all alone, taking a stroll, appearing and fading as she progressed through the delicate patches of sun and shade, like a zephyr wisping between the old firm oaks and caressing them. From my vantage, I could see her arms swinging gently. Occasionally, one would linger behind and drag across the coarse bark of an older oak, while the other would compare the fine young skin of a sapling. I swear I saw that old oak tremble at her touch. Well, in the next instant, I imagined that I was that old oak. Yes, it's me, Trudy. It's me. It's me. Lovely. Yes, I do. I love it. Well, that was a long time ago. The audience hates you. Oh, shut up. Well, at any rate, I'm thankful to Eleanor's family. Their money and hired thugs bought me the votes I needed to squeak my way into the White House. Ah, the White House. In 1933, the people of this great nation elected me their 32nd president in the midst of the worst economic depression in 150 years of political freedom. I would have my work cut out for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes Act 1 of FDR, a one-man show. There will be a brief intermission, during which time Mr. Elliott will remain on stage and in character. We invite you to visit and chat with him and take as many photos as you like. Also, for all you parents, students, and other Irvington High Bulldog fans, we have the latest score in the basketball game against Dobbs Ferry. After 2 quarters, it's Bulldogs 40, Blue Devils 25.
What kind of sandwich are you eating? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. You're still in character. Excuse me, Mr. President. What kind of sandwich are you eating?
Look, lady, do me a big favor, huh? I got about 3 minutes here to eat my sandwich. Why don't you just waddle your little butt right back to your seat and leave me in peace, huh? How does that sound? Sounds pretty good to me, doesn't it?
Creep.
Off you go. Hey, watch it. Geez, all right, everybody, off the stage. Come on, let's go. Off.
Would you like a touch-up before Act 2, Mr. Elliott?
Yeah, I suppose so. Okay. Over here. How do you think it's going so far?
Oh, good, from what I've seen.
Uh-huh.
I've been poking my head in on the basketball game from time to time.
Oh.
You still doing that thing with the snake?
No, I cut that tonight.
You had to keep things kind of short.
Oh, too bad.
Yeah.
I'm using a lighter pancake on you. I think it'll highlight your features better and cut down on some of that sweat.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm sure that will.
That ought to do it.
Great. Hey, before you go, how do I look?
Oh, fine. Good luck with Act 2.
Thanks a lot.
You're Willkommen.
Coming up in Act 2, we'll see how all the events of Roosevelt's young life influenced his actions at the most crucial moments of his career. Let's watch.
Oh, dear, we've got quite a problem now, Franklin. 1/4 of our nation is out of work. And what are you going to do about it? You wanted to be president, the big hero, save the world, idiot. We're up shit river now. What are we going to do? You don't know? Well, you can't tell them that. They'll skin you alive. Oh, well. Once the initial panic subsided, I came up with a plan. For lack of a better name, I called it Plan X. Typed it up and sent it to Congress and tried to put the whole thing out of my mind. The plan was really quite simple. I recommended that we gather up all the people out of work, stock market losers, illegal aliens, and anyone our federal marshals thought looked suspicious. Put them on a big bus and send them to Florida. Then we'd build a big wall across here, redefine our borders like this. Well, the 47 contiguous United States would be spared a devastating depression. Congress didn't buy it. They wanted another plan. I said, fine. Do presidents get paid overtime? They said no. I said, fine. I went straight to my bookcase and found the first book I could find. It happened to be a copy of Tom Sawyer. Well, I ripped off the title page, replaced it with my own. It read The New Deal, a plan for national recovery. And I sent that to Congress. Well, Congress was furious. But they went ahead and wrote up their own plan. I knew they would. They kept my title and let me take all the credit. So, I came out of that one smelling like a rose. Well, the Depression was not the only thing that screwed a lot of free time during my administration. There was also war. Today, December 7th, 1941, is a day that shall live in infamy. As of today, a state of war is declared between the Empire of Japan and the United States of America. Get down! Oh, it was the White House they hit first. Damn you, Barbarians! Eleanor, close the shade! Louis, more ammo! Eleanor, no! Oh, my God, Eleanor! Look at you! Oh, Eleanor! Look what they've done to my Eleanor! Get to the boats! There's no time to get to the bunkers! Get to the boats! Oh, hang on, boys. Neptune himself seems to be after our hides. Oh, my God, it gets worse. Hold on. Hold on, brother, you skirling bastard. It won't make our craze of this running deep. We're capsizing. We're capsizing. Today, the last of the crew was lost to malaria. I've been on this island 2 long years. 2 years away from my administration. God only knows how they're getting along in Washington without me. Each night, the jungle drums fill my head. The stench from the cannibal fires permeates the jungle. And the loud screeching of the tribal sacrifices leave me quaking with fear. I can't hold on much longer. I'm going mad. Quinine. I need quinine. Hey, a ship! I'm safe! Hey, over here! Over here! Ah, Louis, it's good to be back, my boy. Good to be back. The debriefing was very thorough. I thank you. Louis, when are the ladies and gentlemen of the press coming? They're here already. Well, bring them in, bring them in. Yes, indeed, mine boy. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good to see you. It's been a while, hasn't it? Shall we begin? Here's you from Columbia Radio. Fire away. What do I think of Mr. Hitler? Well, not very much, and you can quote me on that. Yeah, you.
Talking to people who aren't there was once a fresh and interesting technique of the one-man show. But I think we can all agree that it has become a tired and a grossly overworked cliche. So I figured this would be a good time to break in with an update on that basketball game. Middle of the final quarter, the Bulldogs in front by the score of 62-58. It's a real white knuckler. God, I wish I was there. Anyway, I'll return if there are any sudden developments in the game. Right now, let's get back to center stage.
Let me tell you a funny story. The Yalta conferences had burned me out. So I decided to vacation in Warm Springs. Well, one day, there came a knocking at the door. Unaccustomed to visitors and being alone, I was a bit hesitant. But I opened the door. There stood a rather suspicious-looking man. Claimed he had come to fix my boiler. Well, I knew he was lying right away because we had no problems with our boiler and I had not summoned a fix-it man at all. But I wasn't going to let him get away with anything. I decided to play along. Yes, yes, so good of you to come. Won't you come in, please? Yes, yes, the boiler's right this way. He didn't suspect a thing. Yes, yes, right down these steps. I led the poor fool into the basement where the boiler was. Do you think it can be fixed? I said. He leaned over the thing and he said, oh, sure, 10 minutes tops. I understand these things are devils to get parts for. And before he could have a chance to answer, I grasped the ball-peen hammer off my workbench and flung it down on the intruder's head. I hit him again, and again, and again, until he hit the cement floor, and I was sure he had met his maker and posed no threat to me. Well, what a sense of exultation. I felt great all day, like I could take on the world. To kill a man, to drink his blood and watch him die is to kill a man. That's from Man of La Mancha, isn't it? You know, back in the olden days...
Wow, all the excitement is because the Bulldogs actually pulled it off. The final score was 70-60. Here was a tremendous game. The big hero was Todd Sims, the center who racked up 32 of those points. A really fantastic performance.
I'm sorry, I'm just gonna need about 3 minutes by myself. Excuse me.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated. The show is not over. And while Mr. Elliott is off stage, the role of Franklin Delano Roosevelt will be played by the understudy.
Warm Springs, one of my favorite places. You must excuse me, my English is not very good. Listen to this. We have nothing to fear aber fear itself. Was für ein wirklich wahres Wort das gewesen ist. Gewesen ist es noch. Ein solches Wort stirbt nie. Das ist für ewig.
Klaus. Okay. Thank you. That was terrific. Thank you very much. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Yeah, I can take it from here. Right.
Dankeschön.
Yeah. Dankeschön. Oh. Oh. Well, I'm getting old now. I don't see things as clearly as I once did. I had led our nation out of the deep, dark wilderness of war and depression into the brave new world, and it had taken its toll. I was tired. Then, with the invasion of 4 mop-top Liverpudlians in 1963, the youth of America would never be the same, nor would the music they'd be listening to. Well, I hope I haven't bored you with this little trip down memory lane. You see, we're nearing the final chapter of my book. And, well, it would please me if I had shed some new light on an old dog. Well, right on cue, my little dog, Fella. Oh, Fella, good to see you. You know, Fella, you never deserted me. Nor did you, Babs. You see, I was about to find out that fate was about to deal me a rather vicious hand. And I would find out that those closest to me were the ones who would ultimately betray me. But Fowler was there.
It's time to go, Mr. President.
Go? Where are we going?
Far away.
Well, is it cold there?
No, actually, it's very pleasant.
Ah, bully. Well, then I won't need my overcoat. Here, fella, you stay here with Eleanor and be a good boy. There you go. Babs, I'm just off for a little bit, just to talk with this nice gentleman for a time. I won't be long. You lead the way, sir. Did I ever tell you the one about the two gentlemen gone ice fishing? Well, there they sat all day, and the first man said to the second man, "My dear friend, I've caught 100 fish, and you've caught none. Perhaps you should use a hook." Well, the second man says, "I'd like to use a hook, but if I use a hook, I'll have to use some bait, and that, sir, would simply be intolerable." I'd forgotten something, eh? Well, I haven't. Those of you who know me well know that I like to finish my little discussions each night with a visit from Mr. Sledge-O-Matic. Yes. Oh, yes, I'd cover up if I were you. Yeah, you do. On one, on two, on three. On three.
We certainly hope you enjoyed FDR, one-man show. History was never my subject, but I found the program fascinating. And again, congratulations to the Bulldogs, this year's regional basketball champions. I'm Marv Albert. Good evening.
All right. Coming up in the second half hour of this program, you'll meet actress Ellen Foley from Night Court, and then tomorrow on our show, Pearl Burnett will be here. She is a performance artist, so that'll be tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Dave, where's my little dog Fowler?
I'm sorry, Mr. President, I don't know where your dog Fowler is.
Damn! Eleanor! Eleanor!
Ladies and gentlemen, that was episode number 9 of our running character, The Guy Under the Seat, starring our own Chris Elliott. And, oh, there he is. Chris, come on up and take a bow. Chris, nice job. Nice job. Chris? Chris, hang on a second. Chris, excuse me just a second now. That was terrific. Number 9. We're all the way up to number 9. What did you call this one, Chris?
This was Roosevelt, a one-man show.
Wow. You know what really impressed me most about this one, Chris, was how precisely you captured the essence of the President of the United States. You know, in fact, I think that I speak for everybody when I say that, you know, for a second there, we actually thought we saw President Roosevelt standing there, you know?
Yeah. Well, I guess lighting has something to do with it.
And, Chris, I would imagine you did a monumental amount of research for this, too, huh?
Well, monumental isn't the word, but I put a lot of thought into it, Dave.
Yeah. Now, Chris, excuse me 1 second there. I know we go over this and over it and over it 1,000 times, but again, explain just exactly what is the deal here. What's the joke? The guy, he lives under the seats and then he interrupts the show and...
He comes up and he interrupts the show.
Yeah. And how did you decide that this time that President Roosevelt would come up from under the seats?
It's a one-man show.
Yeah, I know that, Chris, but doesn't it seem to be a little far-fetched that the 32nd President of the United States would be living under the seats here in the studio?
Far-fetched.
Well, yeah, you know, it's hard to believe, sort of.
You still don't understand what I'm trying to do here, do you?
Well, no, Chris, I think we understand.
You still don't see, do you?
No, Chris,
or maybe you just don't choose to see.
No, Chris. Now, I don't think you're being fair
You know
here.
something, mister? One of these days, you're going to wake up in a cage with the rest of the monkeys. And I'm going to be your keeper.
Now, Chris, please, just settle down. We can't go on like
But
this.
until that glorious day, I'll be right here, making your life a living hell. Watching you send out fish off to Europe and wherever. I see you, baby. I see you.
All right. We'll be right back with Ellen Foley from Night Court.